You can honestly say that on the surface in America, most people of different races pretend they're not racist and get along fairly well up to a point, despite whatever animosities they may have towards one another. But for well over 400 years now, since the first African slaves were brought to America in captivity, whites have referred to African Americans by using the polite pronoun Negro in peaceful conversation, and then the very hostile and insultive word nigger in all other hostile and violent situations. For at least 200 to 300 years in America, African American slaves considered being referred to as Negro a very acceptable term over the most insultive word nigger, which was usually and always associated with the worst possible treatment a human being could possibly receive from another human being. When any white man, white woman, or slave owner force a black slave to work, they most often call them a nigger first. When the white men or white women accuse any black person, male or female, of doing any wrongdoing, they immediately refer to that black person as a nigger again. Then when a black slave was beaten, raped, mutilated, or killed by a white, no other single word was used to humiliate or insult a black person or any other black person more than the word nigger, and it has remained the word of choice by all white races ever since. Many black slaves, out of the fear of very oppressive whites, even took up the habit of referring to other blacks using the same most insultive word in order to find favor from the very racist whites of the then slave era, which is the same thing Tommy Sotomayor and too many other ignorant African Americans do today and actually think is cool. A little over 100 years ago, during the founding of the NAACP, about 40 years up from when slavery in the U.S. supposedly ended, W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, and a few other African American educators made an all-out effort to popularize the word colored as an acceptable term to be used towards all African Americans who were still being called Negro or the most insultive word nigger during that time. Usage of the word black to refer to black people started in the early 1930s with the Black Muslim movement founded by Elijah Muhammad, but didn't become part of the norm until the 1960s and 70s. Even in the early 1970s, for one black person to call another black person black was fighting words, yet alone the word nigger, because by then the term Negro and colored were still being heavily used by blacks as well as cordial whites. Respectable black people, as well as black professionals and black educators, knew that the usage of the word nigger usually meant nothing but trouble, especially during a time when Jim Crow laws were the order of the day and all-out discrimination was rampant all over the South, as well as in most other parts of the entire U.S. During the late 1970s, the most popular music amongst black people was R&B, which was nearly entirely all love songs, a few political, but absolutely nothing similar to today's rap or hip-hop. The first rap song to be played on the radio nationally was heard in 1979, and even it was suggesting love. Plus, there was no profanity, rapping about killing, stealing, or using the most insultive and deadly word, nigger. Gangster rap has been around for about 25 years now, and is the favorite music of young black men whom now have a 2,000% chance of becoming a homicide victim over their white counterparts. Meanwhile, black-on-black crime has multiplied, multitudes of black men have gone to prison, while graveyards have been maxed out with the dead bodies of young black men. And now young black women's prison numbers are at the highest numbers ever and still rising, thanks to hip-hop and rap music. But what does gangster rap and the degenerative behavior of young black men and women have in common? The everyday usage and promotion of the most insultive and deadliest one word in American society, the word nigger, which in countless cases is the very last word heard by a black person before being killed by another black, and the last word uttered by too many black homicidal maniacs that love to call another black person nigger. Plus, the N-word phenomenon is so pervasive now that to suggest to black people not to use this most deadly word is like a priest throwing holy water on a demon. Marvin Carter, OCAT 1959 News, Special Report.